What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and the verdict is in. It is 4 more years of J-Pow, and for some reason, the market thinks this is a hawkish decision. You ready? Hit it. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jack Gamble, and I'm Nobody Special. And today, President Biden announced his intention to renominate Jerome Powell to serve as the chairman of the Federal Reserve, which is a great relief to me because it means I get to continue using my favorite meme for at least a few more years. Now, gauging the market's reaction, this is being viewed as a slightly hawkish decision by President Biden, which is ironic because Jerome Powell is the single most dovish Fed chairman in the history of the Federal Reserve. So how could his renomination be considered hawkish? Well, when you consider that the alternative to Jerome Powell was Fed Governor Lael Brainard, now it starts to make sense. Because the only possible way to make Jerome Powell look like a hawk is to sit him next to Lael Brainard, who is probably the single most dovish governor in the history of the Federal Reserve. Now, before we get into the market's reaction to this, I have to ask you guys, could you please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell? It really helps me out, and it helps me to keep this channel growing, and I'd be forever in your debt. And now it is that time. It's time to shrink my big, fat melon of a head, and let's look at the story. Biden taps Jerome Powell for second term as Fed chair, spurning progressives. The Fed chair is one of the most powerful players in Washington. And that last statement there, the Fed chair is one of the most powerful players in Washington, is the understatement of the year. Because you could argue that Jerome Powell is the single most powerful human being on the planet. He doesn't have the nuclear codes or anything like that, but I tell you, he controls the value of the world's reserve currency, and that makes him the most powerful man in the world. Getting into the article, President Biden announced Monday that he will nominate Jerome Powell to a second term as chairman of the Federal Reserve, signaling that he believes the battle-tested central bank chief who navigated the U.S. economy through the depths of the worst recession in nearly a century is the best person for one of the most high-stakes jobs in the world. The announcement ends months of speculation over whether Biden would stick with Powell, a Republican nominated by former President Donald Trump in 2017, or attempt to reshape the central bank by tapping Lael Brainard, the sole Democrat on the Fed's Board of Governors, to lead it. Only one Democrat has been selected for the top post in more than 3 decades. Brainard has instead been chosen as vice chair of the Board of Governors, the number 2 job at the Fed. She will succeed Richard Clarida, whose term expires January 31st, 2022. The nominations will head to the Senate for confirmation. The Fed chair, one of the most powerful players in Washington with the ability to dictate the pace of economic growth, is typically nominated for a second term, often to reinforce the central bank's independence from politics. Powell's 4-year term was slated to end in February. And if you want to know what the market thinks of this decision, well, the market is interpreting this as a very hawkish decision, i.e. a signal of tighter monetary policy. And it is ironic that the market would interpret the renomination of Jerome Powell, who is the most dovish Fed chairman in history, as a hawkish decision. But again, the only way to make Powell seem hawkish is to sit him next to Lael Brainard. And here we have the benchmark 10-year Treasury note. Yields are up 4.2%. This is definitely the market saying this is a hawkish decision. But if you look at the last couple of days, this is really just a reversion to where we were a few days ago, getting rid of the losses from last week. And if we zoom out on this chart, we can see this is just a signal that interest rates are probably going to continue rising. Precious metals also reacted strongly to this news, with gold selling off back below that key 1833, 1835 level that had previously been resistance. We're now down around 1816 right now. Gold has sold off more than $20 today. And you'll see historically this 1833 level, at least over the last couple of months, had been acting as resistance. And we broke through that last week. We were hoping that would suddenly become support. Well, we sold off right through that level today, down around 1816, well below that 1833 level. Now, this is not really a surprise. The market was favoring Powell as the most likely choice to lead the Fed. So it's not like this caught anybody off guard. However, when you consider that we have options expiration tomorrow, a big sell-off in precious metals should surprise nobody, because the market will grab onto anything that might be interpreted as slightly bad news for precious metals and absolutely smash that price accordingly to get it below certain levels just prior to options expiration. We've seen this play out before, and it's playing out again. And silver has not fared much better. Silver is down right now around 24.49, selling off below that previous level of resistance, which we were hoping would become support at 24.60. Again, with options expiration tomorrow, a sell-off at this point should surprise nobody. So long story short, this is a hawkish move only if you consider what the alternative to Powell was. And Lael Brainard would have been even more dovish than Powell. So I guess when you appoint the less dovish of two extremely dovish possibilities, that could be interpreted as a hawkish signal. And so the market has interpreted Powell's renomination as a hawkish signal. But again, Jerome Powell, as Fed chair, has printed more money than any human being in history. He has lowered rates more than anybody in history. So Powell is the single most dovish chairman in the history of the Federal Reserve, and he is going to stay in place. So that means for the time being, we are going to stay the course of the taper and the projected rate hikes for next year. If Brainard had been put in as chairman, then we probably would have been looking at a longer duration for the taper or an abandonment of the taper outright, and certainly a delay in next year's proposed rate hikes. And I don't really consider this to be a very big news story. Guys, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. It really helps me out. Until next time, live small and dream big.